What's up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Storyhive On Location in Vancouver with beats, eats, and more. I'm your host, Kazi. We're broadcasting live right now on the unceded ancestral lands of the Musqueam, the Tsleil-Waututh, and Squamish First Nations, of whom we give all due love, respect, and honor for being the original stewards and protectors of these lands and these waters. I also want to shout out TELUS STORYHIVE for making this episode possible today. And we are back, season 4, 108th interview with the one, the only Mar Cortez.
Hi!
Mar Cortez is a Manila-born, Vancouver-based, multidisciplinary artist whose work blends vibrant abstractions, human connection, and the pre-colonial Filipino script Baybayin. Based at Astro Club here in Mount Pleasant, Mar is making her mark through murals, public art, and placemaking across the city, with collaborations ranging from the city of Vancouver to Herschel Supply and Arc'teryx. A two-time Battle of the Brush champion, she continues to transform spaces and spark community through art. Welcome, Mar.
Thank you for having me.
Diva.
This is Diva.
Mar, thank you so much for your time and your energy and welcoming us into your studio space.
Yes, thank you for coming and shooting in my very humble studio space.
Okay, well, I really want to start with, your early beginnings. Like, what is your earliest memory of picking up a brush and really feeling impacted by creating art?
Yeah, my dad, he was like an architect when I was living in Manila still. And so my earliest memories are picking up pencils. And so he would have this like table with like blueprints of like things that he was making or fabricating. And then I have like some really early memories of him teaching me how to draw straight lines without a ruler. And so I would just be at his desk literally drawing straight lines forever and ever. And then when we migrated to Canada, me and my dad used to watch Art Attack together. Do you remember that show?
Oh my God! Of course! Pivet glue, sticky tack. Like what?
And you remember like the big like the top down huge like found objects, but he would make like illustrations with it. That was a huge inspiration for me.
Called The Art Attack.
Yes, that was Art Attack. That was my favorite show ever.
Just for context for anyone who might not have been Canadian or is it a Canadian TV show?
Well, he was British.
Yeah. I don't know where they screen this, but anyways, Art Attack was a childhood favorite, and this guy showed you how to make arts and crafts, but then he would do this thing called the Art Attack. It would have music, and he would do these huge scale productions. Like one was like on a black floor with just salt.
I remember those.
Another one, which I totally felt inspired by, was like take all the same like colored clothes.
Yes, and then, I remember that one too.
And then form shapes and form whatever. And I was like taking clothes out of the closet. My mom was like, what are you doing?
Yeah, and my parents had like so many shoes at one point. So I would like take the shoes and just like try to make things with.
I love that.
Yeah.
So wait, how old were you when you immigrated to Canada?
I had my 10th birthday here. So and my birthday is March 1st. So I remember seeing snow for the first time back in the days when we still had snow in March. Like now that never happens. It's like pretty much spring. But yeah, that was like I remember a really nice treat for me because we moved here and then got to see snow, and then it was like kind of like a new life for us. So yeah, I think my dad is a really important person that would just like push me to do art all the time.
And then, so were you doing it throughout school?
Yeah. For some reason, he was like, you're not that athletic, so... So he put me in a lot of art classes. So I got to, do some drawing and painting at Arts Umbrella up until grade 12.
Okay.
And then I also, he did put me in dance, too.
Yeah.
So my brothers got to play sports, and I was like, okay, I guess I'll dance. But, then we started doing hip hop in high school.
Yes.
And my little brother was like, ooh, that's kind of cool. So that's something that we did together.
I'm curious to know, did you always know that you wanted to become an artist?
I didn't.
Growing up?
I didn't really see it as like a career option, but it was something that I would revert to if I was having like tough times emotionally. So it's like if I felt frustrated, I would paint or I would write in my journal, or it was just a way for me to express myself because I have big emotions, and growing up that was like how I would cope. And I think my dad saw that probably because he would just like, should go and paint or make this paper mache thing we saw on Art Attack.
Aww.
Yeah, he was very supportive.
And then, so at what point were you like, okay, this is actually possible for me?
Well, during COVID, I applied for a neighborhood small grant, which is like a $500 small grant that they award to people with like ideas to bring community together. And so for my grant, I used it to do paint in the park because I live really close to this park, and it was kind of an excuse to just like paint with my friends. But then it ended up, I got a lot of signups for it, and then people were wanting more of this community gathering. So I did it a couple times, and then my partner actually, shout out to Taylor.
Shout out to Taylor.
He was like, I think you could do this full time. And at the time I was working in healthcare and I was feeling really burnt out. So I just kind of focused all of my energy in that. And a lot of like community work. So I was volunteering in Fraser Street and South Vancouver Neighborhood House, and there was an opportunity to maybe work with the BIA for my mural, and so that's why my first mural is on Fraser Street on the side of Pampanga's cuisine.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and then from there, kind of just like word of mouth, or people would kind of see that I was in the community or doing things, and I think it was this special moment in time where maybe other people were not seeing like a visual artist, like a Filipino visual artist kind of pursuing something like this. And so the community's been really supportive of me. And I feel like most of the work that I get is thankfully through like referrals or people just, hitting me up because they know someone who knows me.
That's usually how it goes.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Like,
And that's kind of like, even now I'm still kind of like, can I do that? Like, I've been doing it full time for 3 years now, but I'm just like, can I still like do this forever?
Yeah.
I think the thing with pursuing an art career is that you don't know what the future kind of has in store. You can want all of these things, but other opportunities pop up. Like this year, I had no idea I was going to travel so much for work, but here I am. I think I've taken like 15, 16 planes, and it's not done yet. We're still traveling. So yeah, it's kind of one of those things where you're carving your own path and things feel a little bit, there are times when you feel a little bit discouraged.
For sure.
There's those seasons where there's no work, but that's like learning through kind of the marathon of being an artist, is that there are seasons where it'll be slower. And there's seasons that are a lot more full and busy, and you kind of just need to find balance in that.
Yes. Well, I'm curious about what has been some of your most favorite and exciting experiences that you've gotten to have over the last couple of years doing this professionally, especially all the travels.
Sorry, I'm so talking about my mouth.
Yeah. Like, how did that happen, though?
I'm just like, honestly, I'm part of an art collective called Indios Bravos.
Yes.
And so,
Super sick.
yeah, me and two artists from Calgary, Moe Blanco, Harvey Nicol, and then two of the artists that live here, Selena Barcenas and May Facundo.
Yes.
Three of us, me, Moe, and Harvey, got to travel to the Philippines on a professional development trip earlier this year, and that was life-changing. Just to be able to see the different microcultures traveling through like different parts of
Where did you
Luzon.
go?
Yeah, so we spent some time in Manila. Harvey was working with Art Fair. And so we got to really see the contemporary art scene and kind of get an understanding for, oh man, there's so much talent in the Philippines.
Are we surprised?
We're not surprised, but it's just popping over there. And then, there's gathering spaces where you meet other artists and they're so much more collaborative. I feel like in North America, you do have to kind of like get to know someone a little bit more, which is totally fair. But people are just so excited to like jump on any opportunity to create. And that was kind of a culture shock for me. And then we went up to like Baguio up north, and like we went to La Union and also to Kalinga, and we got to meet Apawang Odd, which the village that she lives in, it's so matriarchal. And that just like goes to show that like our society as a whole in the Philippines pre-colonially was most definitely like matriarchal. And even if you go into like any Filipino home, you know who runs the show.
That's what my dad literally says. She's the boss.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Ask the boss. Can I eat this? No, ask the boss.
Or even like asking for permission growing up to do anything.
Yeah.
It would be like, ask your mom. And it's like, gotta really like, mommy.
Exactly. And your family originally from?
My family, when I was born, had already settled in a suburb outside of just like central Manila called Marikina.
Where did you learn Baybayin?
I started learning Baybayin here. Yeah. Because, you know, I got to a point where I was curious about my identity. Because you live here. I think, okay, once you immigrate to another place, you either assimilate and just like, I am not Filipino, I am Canadian. So that's kind of the route that I took. But then recently, over like probably the past 10 years, and then have just been like searching for like a deeper meaning. And like, I tried to do that through culture, but then North American culture of like Filipinos is very stereotypical. It's like, they're good dancers, which is true. They're good singers,
which is true.
You know, they're very generous. We love to party.
We like to take care of our people.
Yeah, and then there's like the people that are kind of well known in pop culture, which is like Jokoy and like Manny Pacquiao. But, you know, I wanted to challenge what it actually meant to be a Filipino outside of like those stereotypes. I'm like, what are ways we can connect to culture? And that's language. So you go to places like Japan and you see like katakana or hiragana on like all the signs, and you're like, okay, that's their identity. That's one way that they can connect to their identity. But then you go to Manila and everything's in English, and it kind of looks like mini America in some parts. And so I was like looking up at pre-colonial history, very limited amount on the internet, and just started learning about this pre-colonial script that we used to use. And then the more that I learned about it, the more that I was like kind of like passionate or fueled to like continue learning more, because it helped me connect to my identity. And so now I teach people to like write.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
I love that you found your connection to your roots and a sense of pride, because I totally relate to that. Growing up as a kid in the 90s out here in Canada, Vancouver especially, like it wasn't cool being an immigrant back then. You know, like funny smelling food.
You did not bring your
accents.
sinigang or your nilaga to school.
No. And so, yeah, like there has definitely been like a reclamation of like a sense of pride around our culture, but specifically pre-colonial, like our ancestral ways of doing things, and realizing, okay, what is really ours and what has been things that have been adopted because of the colonizers that came and influenced us culturally, like the Spaniards, like the Americans, you know, which like shade but no shade. Like there are things that we love. Like we love basketball, we love hip hop, we love empanadas, go off.
Yeah.
But also, what is ours? What is ours before that? And can we have and build a sense of pride and honor around that? And I love that you are preserving that, but also like you are putting all of your influences from what you also culturally grew up with around here. And, you know, that's part of being an artist. It's like, it's the opportunity to create anew and like put your own twist or put your own self-expression, your own flavor to it.
Yeah, and I think for me, like the first kind of 2 years of being an artist, I was trying to find like my style. You know how like it is. You're like, what is your style? Even probably for dancers, you're like, what is my style? And like, how can I really like express myself in the most authentic way? And I was trying to look for like, who am I trying to like conversate with when I'm creating these visual pieces. And it's really, I thought it was like Filipinos in general, but I think it's diaspora, because we have this like unique experience where we are not really from here, but then we're really not from back home, and we're kind of othered in both places. And all we really have is each other. And so I feel like there's this almost cultural renaissance happening within the diaspora, where for some reason when me, Harvey, and Moe were in the Philippines, it ended up a lot of like other multidisciplinary artists were there at the same time. And I was like, what in the diaspora is happening? Like, what is happening here? Yeah. And, I think that's a conversation that we can kind of continue to have. Like, there's these artists that are coming back to the motherland, trying to find like their identity or trying to connect to something that's deeper and bigger than themselves, and bringing it back here.
Yes.
Yeah, it was a life-changing trip. So that's one of the highlights that I definitely need to sit down and process for the next year, probably. And then obviously getting to work on the mural with Filipino BC, that is like a tribute to the Lapu-Lapu Day tragedy, is a highlight. It's kind of weird to say that's a highlight.
Yeah. Where is this mural?
It's just in the back alley. We can go and see it after.
Oh my gosh, okay.
Yeah.
I was out of town during this time. I didn't realize that one was a tribute.
Yes, yeah. And like I work really closely in that community. So like my first mural is on 45th and Fraser, and then the following year I did one on 48th and Fraser, like the plaza, the grand mural. And then I did some like placemaking in that area, and I did the cement stamps for them too. Yeah. Like I designed those. And then I also run this mural club at John Oliver Secondary School, where I started with the kids in grade 8 and they're in grade 12 now.
Wow.
And then just seeing like the progression of their art over the last 3 or 4 years has been incredible. And nothing that I can really like put into words, really. I'm just really proud of them. And then, talking to some of them in the beginning of their journey, them being like, I think I'm going to be like a nurse, or like I'm going to apply to be like a teacher or something.
Yeah.
And then last year, some of them came up to me and was like, do you think I have a good enough portfolio to like apply to art school? And I'm like, yeah, you have so much public art and I can speak to like your development also. So yeah, just working in the community has always been such a passion of mine, but those are some of the highlights of this year. There's a lot.
Yes.
Yeah.
What do your parents think now of what has happened for you and transpired for you in art?
They're super proud of me, actually. They're like my #1 fan. My mom is always in my DMs.
Tita.
Hi, Mommy. I love you. Yeah, she's always in my DMs, like liking every single story. She's like my #1 fan.
I love that.
Yeah, my dad too. So I think it's just this, like I had that conversation with them where you came here and you wanted to give me this opportunity to like have a better life. And so why wouldn't I push that to the limit? Like try to be the best that I can be in this thing. And so for that to come to fruition in such a short period of time that I'm able to like share with my parents too is like, I'm really blessed, I think. Yeah. And I try to FaceTime like my parents every couple days and just give them updates. So they know all the projects that I'm working on. Yeah. They're like, how's this going? How's this going? And even I will actually sometimes ask my dad for help because I'm building this sculpture with Harvey in Calgary.
Cool.
And I've never fabricated a 13-foot tall sculpture in my life. But, my dad has some experience in fabricating, so he would just kind of weigh in on like what certain structures would work.
I love that.
Yeah, and then I recently started writing poetry like ever since I came back from the Philippines. And I would ask my dad like how to translate it in Tagalog. Because it's like, I can speak Tagalog for sure, but there's like the deeper words.
Yeah.
That are kind of going extinct. And that's like another thing too, right, in the Philippines is that I think Tagalog is like
Taglish.
It's becoming Taglish. And then, there's a lot of people that I met that were like kind of low-key proud to not speak Tagalog. And I'm like, but you have a Philippine passport and you should, take pride in that. But that's just like a different perspective that they have versus like ours, right? Because like when you come here, they're like, oh, can you speak Tagalog? Oh, well then you're not Filipino. There's like some certain people that feel that way, and it's like, it's so hard to just be us.
Yeah. I know what you're saying. When I go there, I try to make the effort to learn what I can learn.
But then they'll speak to you in English, and they want to practice their English, and you're out there like trying to practice Tagalog. So I actually speak and practice my Tagalog better with my Filipino friends here than there, which is very interesting to me.
Every time I go there, I always get the compliment, like, oh, I just like hearing your English. I like hearing you speak, you know, but, you know, it's like language is just the way we communicate. You know, I don't hold any weight of like, this is more proper. That's the colonial mentality, right? Like, this is more proper or this is better.
Yeah.
It's just like, at the end of the day, if we can find a way to communicate with each other, then it doesn't matter to me really what we're speaking. You know?
There's other ways you can communicate through dance, through movement, through visual art, through songs, whatever it may be. But there's just like some shame. There's a lot of shame around in our community about Filipino identity, and that's something that I want to continue to challenge in my art practice. We hosted this show at Versus Creative Lab with my art collective Indios Bravos last September.
Oh my gosh, perfect.
And yeah, a lot of the conversations that we would have with some of the artists or the audience would be this kind of, am I Filipino enough? Like, you know, is my art is not like, you know, the sun and the stars or red and blue, or it might not have like Baybayin or something that's like quintessentially Filipino, but because you are a Filipino person making the art, that makes it Filipino art, and that means that you deserve space and to this opportunity to showcase your artwork. And so that was an interesting kind of like conversation that we're still continuing to have in the diaspora, whether or not like our art is considered like cultural or Filipino or not. And I think that transcends even just our community. I think other, you know, first generation immigrants can experience that also.
Yes.
So yeah.
I want to ask you some fun rapid fire questions.
Okay.
Song or artist that is on repeat right now while you're in the studio?
Ooh, you would know this. Okay, recently, Tinashe.
Ayo, literally just on before we arrived.
Yes, just so talented. I'm obsessed. I'm obsessed with her.
Which color feels most you and why?
You know what? I love a cadmium yellow, but
what?
like a bright kind of like golden yellow.
Yes.
Kind of like, yeah, like you can see in the Carabao there.
Ooh.
But I got stung by a wasp this summer. Okay. And I'm like allergic. Uh-oh. I didn't know that. Yeah. And now I'm like, kind of scared of the color yellow.
Oh, because it attracts them.
Yeah. So lately I like purple because it's red and blue mixed together, and that's like our flag.
Yes.
Yeah.
Also, if you have flowers on you, those also attract wasps and bees. Yeah. Like real flowers and painted flowers, they cannot tell the difference.
They can't. Yeah, when I paint murals, I usually use like really bright like pinks or purples. Yeah. And they're always like going up to the wall, like so confused. And I'm like, am I disrupting like the biodiversity here with this colorful ass mural?
Which artist or muralist has inspired you the most?
Oh, well, I'm gonna say Chris Perez because he's been out here doing the work, even when it wasn't like super popular. So actually, how I found Chris Perez was I went through the entire list of artists that have muraled for Vancouver Mural Festival in like, that was in 2022, so like from 2022 to whenever they started, a couple of years before that. But I found every people that had like Filipinos last names, like Perez or I don't know. I found Chris Abrigo on there too, and I just like messaged him, and nobody really messaged me back except for Chris. Aww. And he was like, welcome to this complicated path of being an artist. And ever since then I've kind of just been like mentored by him a little bit. Yeah, like he taught me how to spray paint, gave me a lot of talks about imposter syndrome and how like he still feels it too. So I'm like, okay, if this tenured artist is feeling this way, then I think this is all something that we'll just struggle with forever.
Literally every human has felt this way, unless they're completely delulu and narcissist. Like every person has felt this way.
Yeah, it's like, am I good enough? Like, yeah.
Dream artist collab, living or past?
Ooh, okay. I have been following the work of Pasita Abad for 2 years now. She's a Filipino, kind of American, I guess, diaspora artist, and she had a lot of like political artwork that would speak on like the experience of immigrants in America versus also criticizing the Marcos government back in the day, which is why she became like a political refugee and had to like move to the States. So that would be my dream collab because she really inspires me. She's also super community oriented. She did a lot of classes and traveling, and so those experiences informed her art, and that's kind of what I try to emulate.
Sick.
Yeah.
If you weren't making art, what would you be doing?
I'd probably be a teacher. Yeah. To some degree, I do that already.
I mean, yeah.
But only art teacher because the art kids are cool. Like I have some friends that are thinking about becoming teachers now, and they're like, "What are the kids like?" And I'm like, "I don't know. I have cool art students, but I feel like maybe I can't speak on the general population of high school students."
I think you would speak so well to them. Like, you know, they're influenced by people who really command presence and are cool, you know, and you have that.
Yeah.
So if you were even in the system with people who are like, I don't know about art, I feel like you'd convert them.
Yeah.
Fully.
Yeah.
What would you say to your younger self just starting out in art and not even aware this would become your path?
I would tell her to trust her instincts and to believe in herself, because I think early on the negative self-talk would really get to me and impact my confidence. But now it's really just like fake it till you make it, and then I figured out that nobody really knows what they're doing. So
that's it.
You know, we're all just like faking it till we make it. So
we're all figuring it out as we go.
Yeah.
Something that used to make you feel embarrassed about our culture, but you now feel proud of?
I think growing up, like the food and the interesting smells.
Literally, it's the same thing on my end.
Right? Like, I remember bringing like tuyo, I think, one time to school. And
like soy sauce?
Like tuyo is like the dried fish.
Oh, okay. No.
Yeah. And then when you heat it up, it's like, it smells like fish.
Yeah.
And so, you know, now I'm like, I smell it and I'm like, where is that coming from? It smells so good and I'm hungry now.
Someone's in the kitchen and it's full of love.
Yeah.
Something your parents always say that makes you feel at home?
I like when they just like call me anak. And then
anak means my child.
Yeah, and when they say that they're like proud of us or they miss us. Because like living away from your parents, it's another challenge too. Because sometimes I wish I could just like, when I have a hard day, I just want to go home and like have my mom cook food or, you know, just hang out with her on the couch and watch like telenovelas.
Well, before we wrap our live stream, I definitely want to quickly do some Baybayin script.
Okay.
And because you started doing workshops, right? So
I will maybe just write your name.
Okay. And so maybe you could explain to people also how our script works.
So our script is a syllabic language. So instead of like having, you know, in the Latin alphabet, you would spell my name as M-A-R-A. But then in Baybayin, you would just use the M-A right here. And then the R-A, which is somewhere down. It's not in alphabetical order because I was just writing it. But you would just use two symbols. Yeah. So I'll write Kazimi's name.
Ooh.
So it's Kazimi. But in Baybayin, he would write it as Ka, which is this. Z, which I'll use the kudlit. And then Mi. So it's Kazimi.
Oh my gosh, hold it up, let them see. That's so cool.
Yeah.
I love it.
And there's a keyboard that you can get if you have an iPhone that has helped me a lot in like writing and learning to read it faster. So now, ever since like I've been doing these workshops, I've had my friends install the keyboard on their phone, and I just text them in Baybayin.
Yeah.
And they're like, "What are you saying?" And I'm like, "I guess you have to learn now."
Yeah.
So they're all getting better at it because I will talk a little bit of crap.
Yeah.
And then I'll be like, ha, you don't know what I'm saying. And then they'll figure it out like sooner than later. And they'll be like, I know what you're saying.
I need to add this on the iPhone.
Yes.
Yeah, I would love that. Because I was trying to figure out, I'm like, how is it that you're writing it on your, because you have it on your name on your profile on Instagram. I was like, how did you find the symbols? Like, where?
Yes.
Which is so cool.
Yeah, I will send it to you. I should get like commission from this app because I always tell people to download it.
Yes, app.
Or I need to just make one because I think Android doesn't have like a good app. So
yes, I also am an Android user. So
yeah,
you know,
I'll find. I'm still looking for a good Android Baybayin app.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Mar, so much for your time and your energy, your stories. I'm really, really excited about. Oh yeah, I totally forgot that I brought you food. Of course, we were just chatting. We didn't even eat, but you know, we could save more of this for after the show. But I definitely brought you some snacks. Yeah. Hey, excuse me, Diva. I'm sure also Tita Jocelyn would be like, what are they eating? Okay, Tita, you want to know what I brought your daughter for merienda? Hey, hey, hey.
Ooh.
Diva, sit. Diva, sit.
That's not for
Sige
you.
na, sit. Good girl. Well, I brought over from, do you know Palette has some really good pastries?
Yeah.
So homeboy over there really raved about this chocolate strawberry scone.
Yeah.
This is a ricotta tomato with a spinach or pesto pastry. And this is a London fog loaf.
Yum.
That is for humans only, not Diva, okay? You can have your chicken, your liver, a little weird little snacks, freeze-dried beef things. Well, humans are going to have this.
Yes. Thank you.
Well, I'm super grateful again for you on the show. We're going to definitely dive into this after this stream. Shout outs to everyone who's tuned in on the live stream, everyone who's watching the replay after. We really appreciate you. And also one more shout out to TELUS STORYHIVE for making this episode possible. Once again, this is StoryHive on location in Vancouver with beats, eats, and more.